So we're heading out of town. I'm going 5 north. The freeway alert said high winds through the grapevine. So I probably shouldn't be behind this guy, huh? Look at that. Look how pretty.
This was such a great year for all kinds of flora, and everywhere I drive I'm reminded of that fact. Those patches of orange are all poppies lining the hillsides. Such a beautiful, beautiful area. As I mentioned, I am not specifically a fisherman. I will never be a great fisherman. I just love being out there, going to remote places where there aren't a lot of people, and just taking in the entire experience as a whole.
After all the rain this year, it's unbelievably lush. I don't know if you can spot Waldo. He's right, there he goes. Look how lush and green the hillside is. But 2/3 of it is dangerous. I'll show you why. So first of all, I think this is hemlock, so that's poisonous. And then you have that, which is poison oak. So about a good half the hillside is either poison oak or hemlock. Just roughing it in style. Alright, after a terrific dinner, kind of chilling by the campfire, got the ukulele going. Does not get any better than this. A good way to wind down the day.
Now, I know a lot of y'all kind of swing by for the fishing videos, and I hope I don't disappoint you. Fishing the Central Coast is always kind of like a 50-50 proposition, because you have to book your campsites way out in advance, and the oceanic conditions there are much rougher than SoCal. On top of that, it's a beach launch, so you're not launching out of a safe harbor. So again, a 50-50 proposition in terms of whether or not you can even launch and fish safely. And so this weekend was one of those weekends where it was pretty rough out there. Here is some footage of me launching. Now you have to understand that launching a kayak is way easier than landing. You time the sets as best you can, and once you commit, you gotta go for it and paddle like mad. He who hesitates is gonna get screwed, right? So if you need to punch through anything, just lean forward, keep the nose of the kayak heavy, and just plow through it. The other thing to note is that the GoPro video has a tendency to just flatten everything out and just mellows it out and makes it look a lot easier than it actually is. So going forward, you're gonna hear some PG-17 language, and I'm just being real.
Look how beautiful the scenery is, but look at the size of the swells. Oh shit. This might be the last video I make, folks. You might hear from me from Davy Jones' locker. Yep. You're looking at the back of like 9-foot swells. Look at that. Yowza. That's a big ass swell right there.
Under these conditions, it's pretty difficult to fish. And beyond that, it's really dangerous, because if you tip over, it's going to be hard to re-enter the kayak. So at this point, let me take the time to kind of impart some of the things that I've learned. And this is not necessarily specific to Montana de Oro. Anytime you have a beach launch, these things may apply. So before you launch, assuming that you're going to launch from the beach like this, take the time and drop a waypoint on your GPS or fish finder. Okay, and furthermore, once you get out to an area like this, for example, okay, where you have a beeline to the launch, drop another waypoint right here. Trust me, take the time. And here's why this is important, okay? So let's say you paddle like way out here, okay? And then fog rolls in, and fog often does roll in the Central Coast and NorCal, okay? So you're here and fog rolls in, and now according to your fish finder or GPS, okay, it's gonna give you a direct line to where you launched, right? And if you take that direct line, that's gonna put you here, and you will get jacked up. So if you have a secondary waypoint here and you're fishing here and the fog rolls in, you know that you have to navigate to waypoint number 2, and then from there, waypoint number 1. Absolutely critical, okay? Drop multiple waypoints and it'll give you kind of like a breadcrumb representation of how to get back safely to shore.
Yeah, it gets a little bit choppier as we get closer to shore because the wave energy is being compressed into shallower water. It's moments like these when you feel like you're about to eat shit, when you feel the most alive. Okay, don't bail out early, but as soon as you hit sand, jump out and grab your kayak, okay?
Now let me explain that statement. Before you launch the kayak, always take a little bit of time on shore and get a feel for the sets and timing. That's obvious, okay? The other thing to take note of is you got to figure out how gently or sharply sloping the beach is. Typically, when you have a gently sloping beach, the waves will kind of start out here and they'll gently just kind of roll in. And that tells you you can bail out of your kayak early and just yank or pull or drag the kayak to shore. If you're working with a sharply sloping beach, the waves will wait till the last second and they'll all crash on shore. Now that tells you that you better not bail out of your kayak early, because if you do, you might not be able to reach bottom with your feet and you are screwed. As I mentioned, landing a kayak is about 10 times more difficult than launching a kayak, and this is where most people get tossed. Of course, you have to kind of look back. Your head needs to be on a swivel so that you can time the sets and whatever. But unlike launching a kayak, when you're landing, you want to have most of the weight in the back so that the nose doesn't plow into the water and catapult you the long way. And at some point, you might find yourself sideways in the surf. And again, you never want to have the weight on the leading edge of the kayak, whether it be the nose or, you know, the broadside of the kayak, because once it catches the water, it's like snowboarding. If you catch the lead edge, it's much more painful than just falling on the backside. And once you commit, you gotta go with everything you got.
Paddle hard! Hard!
Now here is the moment of truth. At this very moment, I'm in the process of being enveloped by a wave that's come up from behind me. Now I have just enough sense, or I'm lucky enough, to lean back, and you can tell by the camera angle because most of it is sky. So at this point, if I'm leaned forward, the lead edge catches and I'm gonna flip. I really wish I could have given you guys more fish catching videos, but what can you do? Sometimes that's not meant to be. But I'm going to leave you with footage from a prior trip. These are the kinds of fish that can be caught if the conditions are right. The fishing can be just off the charts. In any case, thanks as always for dropping by. Get out there, have fun, be safe, and we will see you on our next outing. Bye for now.